Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, we can sit down. All right. All right, guys. So welcome to Unzipped. I'm WinRRAR. This is Felipe/FIZZ, and today I just want to dissect the mind of a furry, like see how the communities go on, if this is a hobby or a lifestyle. I think the first thing I want to ask is, if this is a hobby or a lifestyle, because yeah.
To me, it's more of a hobby. I enjoy doing this a lot. It's a lot of fun. But this is especially wearing the suit, all this stuff. I only get to do this like once a month if I'm lucky, because there's groups of us that hang out. Like, we gotta plan this stuff. Like, we're not gonna go to like your local Walmart and you see a bunch of furries walking around, that kind of thing.
Right.
Like, we've got, let's go hang out at the park. Let's go to an anime con. Let's go to the arcade together, which is a fun thing to do because people are like, what the fuck? But it's not like I'm every day, I'm gonna go to shop at my local Publix and I'm dressed up as a blue fox wolf thing. So,
right. Oh damn. I mean, that's I guess that's a misconception, because honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I thought that was a lifestyle. Like, you just put on the suit every morning.
Not really, no. Because first of all, these things are a bit cumbersome. Like, they're a little hot. I can kind of see through it pretty well, but it's pressed against my ears, so it's a little hard to hear. This is just sometimes when I'm by myself, like, oh, I want to take a cute picture. Like, I'll put it on, wear an outfit. It's like, yeah, look at me. But this is something I just enjoy doing for fun.
Right.
I'm glad to have friends that we have a group chats of various furries, so we chat with each other and all stuff like. But we're just sort of, believe it or not, we're just sort of people.
Right. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I mean, because I mean, furries, like the topic was hot and trendy back in 2013, and I just feel like that kind of pushed that agenda that furries were just, I guess, like, gross people. Like, on a surface level, that's what was being said on the internet. And I just wanted to revisit that, because I have covered a lot of people here that, like a dominatrix, for example. Yeah. I mean, the misconception there is that they're mean, they're they're just crazy, I guess. But one of the most sane people actually that we've had on the show. So I just wanted to keep on revisiting groups like that have just that have that wide misconception. And well, that's cool that we got that one. We got to knock that one.
Yeah, because the thing is, I'm not going to deny that there are individual furries that can be a little much and extra. Right. But most, at least from my personal experience, aren't like, oh, I am secretly this animal. No, we're just having fun. Like, we're dressing in animal costumes and we're hugging each other and doing whatever and just going to events like, ha ha ha, I'm dressed up funny. Look at me.
Yeah.
It's a fun activity to do. Granted, it's not like I get it's not for everyone. It's a little weird. But it helps to be a bit more outgoing. Like, believe it or not, I'm actually pretty decently reserved, and this is a way for me to get a little more outgoing and silly and express myself a bit more.
Yeah, I get it. So I did find you on Bark. That's how. I mean, this was a mission. Obviously, the people behind watching this don't know how long it took me to find someone, because it seems like you said, furries are for the most part a reserved group of people. And I feel like a lot of people didn't want them to be publicly known as furries.
Yeah, to be honest with you, if you're talking about my personal interest, I like animal characters or whatever, I've pretty much been that pretty much as far as I can remember my whole life. But in terms of I've been outwardly a furry for probably only less than a year. I've had this guy since September. So it hasn't been that long, believe it or not, because it takes a while for people, because especially negative aspects. I grew up, even before then, I'm 34. And so I grew up in the 4chan era of all furries must die type shit.
Damn. And you still made it out of that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why I kept all that stuff a secret for a while, because I was like, oh, you don't need to let people know like, oh, I think like, you know, animal characters are cool, and I would like to have my own character and dress up like them and have art made of them. But it just sort of happened over time.
Yeah.
Like for the longest time, it's like, oh, I like this stuff, but I'm not a furry because I don't have a persona. For those who don't know, persona is a furry persona, someone that you can dress up as.
Yeah.
And it just sort of happened over time. And believe it or not, this isn't even my first persona.
Oh shit.
So you were asking, or before we were recording, about Fizz. So this is my second. His name is Nito, based on a nickname I had. But my first was a raccoon named Fizz.
Okay.
Which is a play on another nickname I've had. And so like people still mostly call me Fizz, but I guess technically this character I'm wearing is Nito.
Right.
But it just sort of stuff happens, and the next thing you know, like I'm going to cons and I'm making all these friends, and like literally 2 weekends ago, maybe last weekend, I was at Otaku Fest at the Miami Airport Convention Center.
Yeah, I heard of that.
Me and 2 or 3 other furries are just like, literally like people see like a group of furries, they're like, oh, I want to take a picture. So
I do feel like the cosplaying community is obviously a lot more open to the furry scene. And I do want to go back to Nito and Fizz. How are you able to this, like, I mean, I know it is all made up, like you make up the name and the nicknames, but with the suits, do you customize them or are they already like that?
So, for the most part, most people, when it comes to getting fursuits, they commission them, they get them made. It takes a long time. They're pretty expensive, actually, believe it or not. But the reason why this is my second, because technically I'm not his first owner.
Okay.
This is a second hand, so I'm gonna take this off in just a second.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm all sweaty now. So I went to Megaplex, which is a furry con in September in Orlando, Florida. And at the time, I didn't have a suit. I didn't have anything like that. And I met a friend that weekend, and we were just hanging out all weekend. We were having a good time. And he was telling me throughout the weekend, like, I've had this character since I was in high school, and I've kind of grown past it. I want to get a new one, but I have all this stuff in this suit and all this stuff. And eventually I was like, well, I'll take him off your hands. And so I bought him secondhand, renamed and christened him. And so basically, he's mine now.
Shit, okay.
Yeah.
And I do want to jump back into how you kind of made it sound like you were a closeted furry, I guess you can say.
That's technically true.
Like, how does coming out, I guess, come about?
It's like, a little weird because it's not like I'm also gay. And like it's not like coming out as gay, because I feel like that's more of a big personal lifestyle choice, things like that. This is more like like an embarrassing hobby that, like, you know, you don't want your friends to know about. And it took me a while to even attempt to go like, oh, I'm furry, because I'm like, even the best furries are a little bit cringe and a little like silly. And but over time, over the past like year or so, I've been watching YouTube, and like furries are a little more common and things like that. There's this YouTube creator I really like. His name, he goes under the handle Beta Ada Delota. Okay. And the reason why he kind of made me want to get out, because like he just does his streams just as him. He's not wearing a fursuit the whole time or a VTube or anything like that. And so it's like, oh, furries are just people. They're just people that like to do silly things. And that's how I was able to open myself up. And luckily, most of my friends just don't care. They're like, yeah, do your thing, whatever. Like,
so you haven't lost any friends since coming out?
No, I've been lucky to have a pretty acceptable friend group. There's a few jokes here or there but you know, they're friends, like, you know.
Right, yeah, that comes with it.
That comes with the territory. And so none of that really bothers me. And you know, I guess I consider myself one of the lucky ones that I'm able to do. I was so scared bringing this home. I live with my mom.
Right.
And I was so scared trying to have to explain bringing this guy home with me from Orlando about what this is. And luckily she saw it. She's like, oh, that's cute. I want to wear it for Halloween.
Hispanic. I mean, you're Hispanic, right?
Yeah,
Hispanic
half Cuban, half Chilean.
Okay,
so,
I'm Cuban, so
yes.
There you go.
I was nervous about it, but luckily she was completely cool with it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I figured. So, and like, I want to go back to 4chan. Did this start kind of like, because sometimes you get into things like accidentally in the way where like maybe you'll shit on it.
Yeah.
Did it start like that where you were like poking fun at furries and then eventually you just kind of found your...
I never verbally poked fun at furries when I was a regular like 4chan browser, like edgy teenager.
There you
go. Trying to post memes and like, hey, like my stuff so that my thread can be archived or whatever. But like I never outright like for the longest at first I just didn't acknowledge it. It's just like this is a thing I'm into, but nobody else knows. Nobody needs to know. Over time, I started being a little more verbal. It's just like, oh, I just think they're neat. I'm supportive. That doesn't mean I'm a furry. Like like oh, I like your art. I like the stuff you're doing. Just do your thing. That's none of my business.
Right.
And eventually got a point where it was just like, you know what? Let me just full send it. Because over the past, like I said, the past couple of years, it's been a little less so of a stick. Like you'll still see people like talking about like, oh, furries are horrible, they're cringe, they're gross, all this stuff. And in my personal experience, like over the past year, I've met so many people. I've made so many friends in this community, and I genuinely enjoy it so much. I went to my first con, Megaplex, just to experience it, just see what it's like.
Right.
I wasn't planning on going to one ever again. And again, I left with a head, and I've got 2 more cons coming up this year that I'm gonna do, and like I'm just gonna enjoy myself and have a good time. And like I'm in these group chats like, hey, you wanna go? We're gonna set up a meet where all of us are gonna be in the park, and we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna have a picnic, and everyone can dress in their suits. And it's like, yeah, and we take these big old group photos, and it's so fun.
Have you guys ever stumbled across because I mean going out in public like that,
yeah,
there must be some hecklers, I guess.
It depends on where. So for Halloween, where was it we went? But we went to to Wynwood for Halloween.
Oh, okay.
Just a bunch of us. And for the most part, it was not that bad. It was kind of chill. We got a couple looks, but nobody really cared.
Right.
There was a couple people because Wynwood Halloween weekend, people get pretty drunk and pretty whatever.
Yeah.
There were a few verbal like, "What the fuck is that?" like type reactions and things like that. But nobody was outwardly confrontive about it in my experience. Again, I've been shooting less than a year, like September.
That's right, yeah.
October, November, December. It's been like less than 6 months.
So
I've been lucky where I haven't had to deal with many people that are just outwardly like I know people that look at us funny, say something. Even when I went to the con, I overheard walking with my friend Snow going through the vendor halls wearing a suit. I'm like, dude, if I see one more fucking furry, it's just like. But you know what? If you keep it to yourself, like it's not your thing. It's not your thing. Like
right.
It's not gonna bother me too much. Just. Please don't be a jerk about it, is my whole thing about it. Like, let us live. If it's not your thing, just look the other way. We're just doing our own thing.
100%, yeah. I mean, everybody has their own groups and communities. And
yeah.
There's no need for that. So, you do have a podcast of your own.
I do. So, actually, yeah, it's been a decade. Jesus Christ.
Damn.
I know, believe it or not.
Holy shit.
I've done a podcast called Generation Animation, which is a general animation-based podcast. We talk about cartoons, movies, anime. I just tried to count on my fingers, and then I realized my ring and middle finger are on the same finger.
Oh, yeah, he has 4. Yeah.
We talk about movies, anime, cartoons, things like that. Which actually probably also helped me coming out as a furry because like I grew up watching shit that like thought like, oh wow, these characters are cool, like I loved SWAT Cats and I loved Lion King and like all this stuff. But yeah, the podcast it's me and currently 2 other friends, but there's a group of 5 of us. They're all doing different things at different times, and we get together for about an hour to an hour and a half a week, and we just talk about a movie we like or a cartoon show or like something that our listeners suggest us to listen to, and it's really enjoyable. I've been doing it just because I like talking to these people and I like talking about cartoons, animation in general. I'm a big animation nerd. I used to, as a hobby, edit videos, and I tried to make it my job before I realized just how fucking hard it is. It's just like
I've been on YouTube since 2011, and it's just hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like especially because like things change, things update, and like
Yeah.
when I was editing videos, I used to edit on Adobe Premiere Pro CS3, and
Shit.
like that I tried the latest Adobe Premiere Pro, and I'm like, I don't recognize any of these tools, any of this stuff. It's just like
I'm on Premiere. It's pretty. You should be able to get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I went from Sony Vegas to Premiere.
Yeah, I messed with Vegas for a little bit. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I grew up a Windows Movie Maker baby, and eventually moved up from there. But just because I've worked nonstop, like it's kind of hard for me to find time to do that kind of stuff. And so my free time, I have to pick and choose what I want to do. And one of these days, I'd like to get back into making videos again. But you know, I keep saying that, and then like who knows? In like a year or two, I'll be saying the same thing. One of these days.
Yeah. And if you don't mind me asking, where do you currently work?
So I am a full-time staff at public supermarkets.
Oh, that's dope.
I'm the person you complain to when something goes wrong. But I also handle like the Lotto, the Western Union sends, like all that stuff. The good thing about Publix, I don't want to sound like a public shill because whatever, but like, you know, I get paid well, I get good benefits, I get vacation time, I get sick time. The only problem is I'm there all the time.
Yeah.
But like, you know, it allows me enough room and money in order for me to do things like go to cons, purchase a thing like this. You know, like, you know, this was a total like that weekend purchase. And like I would not have just been able to go like, yeah, I'll plop down like blank hundreds of dollars to get this guy.
How much exactly was it?
So here's the thing. This is a secondhand. If you're to get one new, depending on the maker, like they range anywhere from like $800 to like $1,500 to $2,000 because they custom make that stuff from the ground up. Because this was secondhand, and I bought it off a friend who reduced the price for me because we became friends that weekend. I'm one of the lucky few. Don't make this the norm for anyone looking to buy a fursuit. This is not the norm for buying a head. I got the head, and the tail for about $500.
Shit,
which is pretty. That's why I couldn't say no because I was like, I'm never gonna get this chance again.
Right.
I did get hand paws custom made from a maker named Punk Owl Creations on Twitter. It costs about, I think, $120 if I remember correctly. And I'm currently getting like sleeves so that way I can wear like short sleeve shirts and it goes down to here.
Oh.
And feet paws. And like the sleeves, they're being made. The sleeves and feet paws are being made by a guy named Davies Disasters. The sleeves cost me $100 and the feet cost me about $250 because you got to walk around in that shit.
Right.
Like, you know, the big. I'm very much looking forward to when I can finally like. I'm not gonna get a full suit because like, first of all, I live in South Florida.
Yeah, it's hot as hell.
If I get covered head to toe in fur, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, 100%.
But also like it's also a very pricey endeavor to get a full suit made. So like, I'm happy with what I got, and honestly, that's all I need. I don't need to take that extra step. Like, you know. Yeah,
I do want to jump into the sexual not safe for work side of furries because I feel like that part is a huge part of that community.
So yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. Obviously, there is a sexual aspect to it.
Yeah.
I would not be telling the whole truth if I didn't say, you know, I got to hook up with a few people that Megaplex weekend and it was a good time. It's not the. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
No.
Does it? I mean, you guys are obviously in costume. So, do you look for their suit or do you look for the person?
So, not everyone wants to like hook up. In fact, I've only hooked up with someone in suit once, and this person was very sweet. But I really quickly found out it's something that I wasn't super into doing, like physically, because I'm a big touch guy,
right?
And like. I need to feel that, like when I'm trying to touch your skin, touch your back, whatever. And all I feel is fur. It's like it's a little weird.
Yeah.
And so like, you know, I always like the visual. I was like, let me try it once. And like practically, I'm like, oh, this is not my thing.
Yeah.
But there are people that are into that kind of stuff. And you know, I'm not gonna lie and say that stuff doesn't happen. But it's surprisingly not a huge part of being a furry. Like, yeah, like there are people that hook up for that kind of thing, that have fun. There are people that go to cons to just like, hey, let's have a not safe for work party and hang. Funny enough, like I went to 2 not safe for work parties, And both times I didn't have sex. We were just hanging around and just chatting because it was just a party. People were drinking. People were just like doing whatever. But surprisingly enough, the not safe for work side is not as big as you'd think. Like, yeah, there's a lot of like online internet presence of that stuff. People that post videos, people that do artwork, really good artwork, mind you. Yeah. But in terms of like the physical interaction of that stuff, like I have a few friends that are furries that I became friends with, and I have like had sex with consensually as friends. Right. But like, we don't really do it in suit because again, I realize it's not my thing, and also this thing is fucking hot. Yeah. But I know there are people that are into that kind of thing, and I've seen a couple of videos on Twitter and things like that, and people that I like that see do that stuff, and I like watching it. But I quickly realized that it's not my thing.
Cool. I'm just gonna jump into my notes because honestly, I'm a bit blank.
Go for it, man.
Right now. I mean. Because I'm realizing now that it's just like to me it's not that weird. Like, it's everybody has their own gimmick and their own niche, and this is just yours.
Yeah, it's the same as like if you meet like a hardcore like Star Wars fan, like
exactly.
You don't dress up as Boba Fett on your everyday life when you're going to freaking like go to Walgreens to pick up your prescriptions or things like that. But in certain situations, like I want to rock a lightsaber. It's the same thing here. I'm not dressed up like Nito every day of my life, but like there's a situation where it's like, hey, I can wear him around for fun and maybe get a few pictures or hugs or whatever. Like, I'll do it.
Yeah, I came in here with like the brain of I'm gonna be like Jordan Peterson. I'm just gonna fucking try and dissect this, but there isn't much to that.
There isn't much.
It's just your hobby.
Like this is just something I like to do. I feel like it's like there's so many little aspects of me that like doesn't revolve around this. This is just
exactly.
This is just something I like to do because I enjoy it.
Yeah,
and it's fun, and like and because of that, it's also a way to meet people of similar interests. That's pretty much all it is. It's surprisingly normal. There are weirder things to be into.
Yeah, honestly, there really are.
Yes,
and I realized talking to you that I'm speaking to you, and I'm just like, there's more of Felipe than there is of FIZZ.
Yeah.
And it's just like, there's not much more to poke at FIZZ.
Exactly. Like,
yeah.
Like, like, I just happen to think animal people are cool.
Yeah.
And like, and I made some friends, and I bought myself a suit that I can wear at conventions and get-togethers and meets and things like that. And because of that, I was able to meet friends that are into the same thing. And it turns out, even those people, like, there's some people that I really click with, and some people are like, okay, you dress up as an animal, cool. We're like, but we're not clicking anywhere else.
Right.
Like, like, we're just people. It's, believe it or not, we're just people.
I do have one last question.
Go for it.
I don't want you to be offended.
No, go for it.
But I think it is a wide misconception, I guess, if you can knock down.
Say whatever you need to.
So, do you believe that jumping into a furry suit coincides with mental illness?
Not necessarily. I do know that this can be a comfort thing for people that are on some kind of spectrum.
Yes.
That this is like a comfort, a way for them to deal with certain things in their lives, things like that. However, I do not equate that necessarily at all. Unless I'm sorely mistaken, I've never been diagnosed. I'm pretty much a relatively normal person. Most of my friends I made in the community, like there's a couple of people that I've met like at cons, things that like are on some kind of spectrum or have some kind of situation where this is a comfort thing for them. But I don't necessarily equate it. Like, again, in my opinion, this is just a hobby. And there's all sorts of people that are into hobbies. There are people that really like playing board games. And there are all sorts of people that play board games. People that are very, very smart. People that are maybe not so much like an intelligent person. But you know, I feel like anyone can like anything,
Right.
and I try not to be judgmental about that kind of thing. Mental illness is something I feel completely unqualified to talk about.
Yeah, right. I mean, neither of us.
Yes. And so I'm just going to say, I know that this can be a comfort thing for certain people. And I appreciate that that is a comfort thing.
Yeah.
But that is not necessarily tied to, oh, you're a furry, that must mean you have something wrong with your head. I just like dressing up as a blue fox. Give me a break.
And I think you hit it. You hit the nail in the coffin. Honestly, that being a comfort for people, because honestly, I think I'd rather have people on the spectrum being able to find a community or scene to at least get out there in the world. Because I mean, again, neither you or me are on the spectrum.
Yeah.
But I'd rather see people having fun and enjoying their life than being
exactly like you know. I try not to be cynical.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard when you work at Publix and deal with like annoying customers.
Yeah,
every day.
I don't know how you do it.
I try not to be cynical, and so like, you know, if you enjoy what you're doing, you're not hurting anybody, like go for it. Like you know, be aware. Like, you know, I would say anybody interested in fursuiting, things like that, you know, don't just go out like to like your local wherever just in suit and like have a good time. Like, you know, find friends, find a community, make sure you're safe doing it, make sure you're surrounded by friends, like make sure you know what you're doing also, but it is fun. I know it's not for everybody, especially because, like I said, the price point on these things is a little nuts. I got mad lucky. Because I made a friend, and he just happened to be selling secondhand. Like, you know, if you have the resources and it's something you're interested in, or if it's something you've thought about it, but like you don't want to be insulted, like, you know, just reach out. You'll find people that
or even start at the conventions.
Yeah, just go to a con. Find someone that dresses up in a suit and have a conversation. I literally made a friend that weekend. Like, oh my god, a furry, and then we just like hung out for like 3-4 hours. Like, it's a very welcoming community. Probably the reason why you're probably having a lot of trouble finding people, because like it's hard to gauge like from an outsider, like oh, they're trying to exploit furries,
right,
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my nerves about doing this interview. It's like, oh, you're just trying to get a soundbite from me going like, I say something wrong here or something like that. But I appreciate that A, that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
And B, that like people can know, like if a lot of people see this, I just want them to say like, we're just hanging out, we're just having fun, we're not meaning anything to hurt anybody.
Yeah, honestly, I just wanted to inform people because I mean, the only thing that people can gain from this is perspective, and you know, maybe you managed to convert someone into the community. So.
I mean, hey, if anybody wants to chat, like, you know, I'm on Twitter at Felipe Diaz Vera. I'm more than willing to answer any questions people have.
Yeah, I'll link his Twitter in the description. But I think that was a great interview. I mean, there's not much more to poke at because again, this is just an extension of you. Yeah. This isn't you.
This isn't like, I feel like Nito is just myself turned to 11. Like, that's all it is. Like,
there you go.
It's a more outwardly going silly version of me.
That's a great way to put it. So thank you, FIZZ.
Of course.
Thank you, Felipe.
Yes.
And I hope you guys enjoyed that. You can follow Felipe. He'll be in the description. And have a great day.
Thank you.
All right.